Guys, Bitcoin is dumping. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the market, what I'm doing. And I think it's important just to have these back to basics. And I've had people actually thank me for keep talking about this. If in doubt, zoom out, right? If in doubt, zoom out. Look at the last few cycles, guys. Green, selling green, buy red, selling green, buy red, selling green, buy red. Like even a 12-year-old would have outperformed most of the market just by buying in the red and selling in the green, right? It's quite simple when you zoom out, but the social media, the news, BlackRock, the President Trump's doing this, everyone's doing this. It's designed to play with our emotions. It's designed to manipulate us, but this market is beautiful because it pumps and dumps, right? This is why it's a great market. This is why it's liked by so many traders. This is why there is such of a sudden bunch of inflows all of a sudden in the bear market, which takes us into this bull run, and then there's loads of retail euphoria, and then all the OGs come out of nowhere from 10 years and 12 years and start dumping on you all, right? That's how the game works. They create the froth, they create the demand, and then they use you for exit liquidity. And are we in the area right now where we make money? No, we're actually in one of the most dangerous areas where nearly everyone in crypto loses. And it's down here where everyone makes money. It's down here where we win. It's down here where we make our 10, 20, 30x, right? It's down here where we were buying last cycle, which is why we made so many gains on these rallies, right? When I posted in hit down here, just on a small DCA into render, 0.54, it's really come down a lot. We're getting a lot of sideways action and finding some kind of floor. I'll come back to this because it's very important. When you go into a bear market, it doesn't look like this, right? It doesn't look like pump, dump, massive dump, pump. It goes sideways. That's why I said getting some kind of floor. This was back in 2022, right? Some of you are new. I know you haven't been through this before, and there's a lot to learn, but this is quite common. When you go into a bear market and you reach seller exhaustion, you go sideways week after week, month after month. It doesn't tend to V-shape recovery. Does that mean that it may never V-shape recovery? No, absolutely not. But every single bear market, we have not V-shape recovery. We've gone sideways for many months. It's called the accumulation phase. And here, 0.54 is where we started to buy. And then obviously render went all the way up to $12.30. And then we started to take profits, right? I think we're up over 25x on that buy as we went into a bull market. Everyone was the same as usual, frothing. We're going higher. Look, I wish I'd have sold everything. I started to dollar cost average out here. I took some more profits on this pump here somewhere. I started to dollar cost average out. I wish I'd have sold everything, but hey, look, maybe it could have gone higher. That's why I DCA out. I don't try to time tops. I don't try to time bottoms. I just wait for the right rough time, when the rough area and all the signals are popping off and we're seeing all the extreme greed on socials, everyone saying higher, retailer coming in. My nan was texting me saying, how can I buy crypto, right? All of our signals were flashing. I know a lot of people were saying there wasn't a lot of top signals, but there was at least 10 top signals flashing. That's how the game works, right? You buy in the bear market when everyone is saying crypto's dead, when everyone gives up, and you start to go sideways. It's so boring. There's no pumps, there's no dumps. It's just sideways. That's the time when I am looking to get back into this market, because as you know, I have literally sold all of my spot crypto completely out of the market, and now I'm waiting for the bear market, because that's how I've made my money. And if this doesn't happen, guys, this will be the first time in history that this has ever happened. I'm happy to bet on that, right? Because if I'm wrong and we go into let's say we go into a multi-decade bull run and we never see any red again, then that's the first time in history that that's ever happened, right? And you're now potentially trying to do that with actual real risks on the table, like quantum computing. A lot of people say, oh, quantum computing won't hack crypto, you should worry about the banks. Well, the banks don't run on a bunch of decentralized nodes that take years to upgrade, and there's lots of complications there with how much data you can upgrade, and is it going to slow the network down? Is it going to be secure, right? It's a completely different kettle of fish to upgrading the banking system, which there is software already to do it, and they can upgrade it, and there is capacity for the storage for that code, right? So completely different situation. There's no real solution at the moment for upgrading Bitcoin. There are solutions out there, but there's no good solutions out there that are going to make it smooth, and we might even see 2 Bitcoins, right? So it's a very risky time, and I just think even now, even more so, we should see red, right? Even more so. But we've had so many catalysts this cycle. Metals have rallied. We've had so many chances to catch up with the stock market, the M2, gold, metals, and now we have potential quantum computing threats. Now more than ever, I would be very surprised if we didn't come back down aggressively into these red zones where I plan to accumulate again. A lot of people ask me as well, where are you going to buy altcoins? What price are you buying Solana at? What price are you buying this at? Guys, I don't buy altcoins on certain prices, right? I don't have price targets. And I know you'll see a lot of influencers, KOL traders, say, oh, I'm going to buy Solana at $50. I'm going to buy Solana at $60, whatever. If we are still in the yellow and Solana is $60, why on earth would I buy Solana? Because the price of Bitcoin comes down, the price of altcoins come down, right? It's always been the same. I'm going to buy altcoins, whatever price they're at, when I feel like Bitcoin has bottomed, right? That's one of the reasons we started to buy Render in the bear market, because we felt like Bitcoin had finally bottomed and it was about to start moving to the upside. And it was literally shortly after this that Bitcoin started to rally, and then altcoins started to rally with it, right? I didn't expect the top to be in March 24, but the euphoria and a lot of the signals were there, which is why I said I will not be spending this profit on new altcoins solely for the exit bag, because what a lot of people do is they make a lot of money in crypto and then they go and buy the next altcoin, the next altcoin, the next altcoin. But actually, nearly all altcoins here went into a 2-year downtrend, right? They went into a 2-year downtrend, and nearly everyone on socials was saying, buy the dip, this, we're coming back, it's just a dip, and it just basically everything came down 80, 90, 95%, etc. So very, very straightforward pattern, right? Buy bear, sell bull. Buy bear, sell bull. Sounds easy, a lot harder to do in real life. We also have these great indicators, right, to help us. This is the SMC bot, and the previous bear market, 2019, buy signal from the SMC bot, buy signal from the SMC bot. I would be very, very surprised if we go into another bull run and we do not get a buy signal from the SMC bot, right? So that's a signal that I will be looking for. I still think we're going to come down to these similar levels below the SMC moving average. The SMC moving average at the moment is at 70K, 69K. I think we are going to come much below those levels, just as we have in the previous last few cycles. We have bounced here, just as we were talking about, right? We've got the same M pattern here, same M pattern here. Everything is kind of playing out. We even broke through this bull run trend line recently, bull run trend line. This was around December, January. This was around December, January. Like, everything seems to be repeating. So I don't know why there is so much this time's different, extended cycle. It's the business cycle, stupid. I don't know why there is so much of this when we're literally just following history. Same for altcoins, right? Bull market, buy signal from the SMC bot, bear market. Buy signal from the SMC bot, bear market. When we broke the bull run trend line, it was pretty much the market saying, look, it's a little bit overheated now. We started to roll over. You can see here we're starting to roll over. We're starting to lose momentum. This was a bit more aggressive for multiple different reasons. Solana went up way more here than it did. I think the buy signal was around $2 and it went to $254, right? So yeah, it's over 100x, guys. It went up over 100x. So when you have such aggressive gains, like the whales and the smart money are like, check their wallets and they're like, yeah, we need to dump everything as soon as possible. And that's why it can really come down fast. It was a little bit slower here. It was a little bit slower. I mean, it's still done from $8. It's still done like a 20, 30x, right? It was still a lot. But we had more of a slower sort of spread as people decided to buy and sell. And then we had the ETF FOMO as well. And nobody knew how that was going to go. And then that became a sell the news, right? forming like an M pattern here on Solana, so we want to be really careful about breaking this level, guys, or it's going to get nasty. I would be surprised if we don't repeat something like this again. And notice how similar period, right? See, when I was talking about the reason we bought Render, getting some sort of sideways consolidation here, should see exactly the same thing on Solana. This isn't how bull runs end. They don't end like this, right? And you missed out and they shoot to the sky. When you go into a bear market, it gets dead, like something like this, right? It goes like this for weeks and weeks and months. There's no FOMO. You're not going to run. Normally, I can't tell you you're not, but normally you're not going to run out of time. You're not going to miss the bottom, usually. When you get this sideways consolidation, it's quite common in altcoins, and that's where I plan to accumulate. Sometimes you'll get a final flush. So see here where you were going sideways. You could argue that this was the actual bottom here around 30, 20, but then you had this final flush, which was a black swan event. So sometimes you will get those black swan events. Let's say we do something like this, we go sideways. There might be a black swan event, like maybe there's a wallet that gets hacked by a quantum or something, and it's like a massive black swan. And then it gets patched and they solve it, and all of a sudden we've got we've got quantum protected Solana and quantum protected Sui and quantum protected Ethereum, etc. So keep an eye out for a black swan. If you get a black swan, it can be a blessing. It can be an absolute blessing. It's very hard to buy black swans because it feels like the world's going to end. But that can be a real big blessing, especially for long positions, right? Anyone who took a long position on that FTX news made life-changing money. Not just life-changing money, you know, if you would have taken a long there with some leverage, $8 to $300, you know, GG's, and you just set a trailing stop loss all the way up, right? So yeah, it can be, black swans can be absolutely amazing, and no one wants to long there either, so a lot of people take short. So it can really rally fast. Something to watch out for. So it seems to be playing out. This is what we predicted back in January 2025. We said, look, it's looking a bit like last cycle. We might get rejected here and come down to support. We got rejected. We came down to support, and then we pushed up to this higher high up here as we predicted here. And now it looks like we're coming down into a bear market. This yellow support, you could argue, it's going to be the first time that we didn't hit this if we don't hit this, right? You see here where we bounced. Technically, this is what we done. Let's put that back. Technically, this is what we done last cycle. We came down like this, and then we done something like this. This would bring us to 30K, and I don't think that's possible, guys. The only way I think that's possible is if Bitcoin gets hacked by quantum resistant, or maybe they have to fork it. They have to hard fork it, which means that they would have to create 2 Bitcoins. That could be an argument for a 30K Bitcoin or a 40K Bitcoin, because that would create a lot of fear. And who's going to have $10 billion sitting in Bitcoin as they need to upgrade the network and they don't know if it's going to go through, right? If they hard fork it, it means that they're going to have to do it fast. And there could be problems, there could be complications, there's going to be so much fear. A lot of people would just sell their crypto and then they would wait for the hard fork, and then they would just buy back once it's been confirmed and everything's running smoothly. There's no issues. It would be a big black swan event if there was a hard fork. A great time for new people, right? Great time for newbies. If they do make 2 Bitcoins, guys, everyone's going to buy the new Bitcoin. All of the old Bitcoin on the old chain is going to be susceptible to hacks through quantum, because you can't go and change the old Bitcoin, right? So it's all going to get hacked at some point or another. So there could be potential problems there. There could be potential problems for all of the people who are unable to move their Bitcoin to the new blockchain. Those wallets will get hacked, right? Satoshi's Bitcoin will get hacked at some point or another, unless there's an agreement to freeze it. But who has the right to freeze someone's money? When we don't know they exist, right? Maybe they want to remain. Maybe Satoshi is alive and wants to stay anonymous. Like, who are we to say you have to KYC or we're gonna freeze your crypto? It kind of defeats the whole object of what Bitcoin is. And I don't see any solution to that. I see eventually there's going to be billions and billions and billions of dollars that is stolen, probably by North Korea, probably by some of these entities who are really sort of advanced with hacks, who don't care and are happy to take the money and won't face repercussions. A lot of it's going to be hacked. There's probably a race right now, right? Why wouldn't there be a race for hundreds of billions of dollars that you can just take and have immediate liquid on chain and sell it, right? So yeah, I wouldn't put it past me if this happens. If the hack happens before we find out about it, I think we'll get hacked before you see it in the news. If it eventually happens, right? They predict that it's going to be 2 to 6 years. Okay, so don't forget how fast tech moves, how fast the world moves, technology. You know, they said the same thing with AI and AI video, and then out of nowhere it just blew everyone's predictions away, right? So the fact that they're even suggesting 2 years as possible, I would say maybe even a year as possible then, if they're suggesting 2 years. It's going to be a problem. I don't see a solution to it. I think they're going to have to hard fork. I think they're going to have to create 2 Bitcoins. It's going to be a massive black swan event. I think we're going to see loads of the old wallets getting hacked. This might be another reason why we're seeing so many OG wallets load up after 10, 11, 12, 13 years and just sell their entire Bitcoin, right? We're seeing that happen more and more. I also think we're probably going to see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at how many OGs sold last cycle, how many OGs sold this cycle, going right into the bear market, and we're going to see how much of an increase it is, because it might. Last time I checked, there wasn't much of a difference, right? But if we get to a point where 30%, 40% more than previous cycle, with BlackRock buying Bitcoin, with President Trump buying Bitcoin, with Eric Trump talking constantly about how Bitcoin's going to do this and do that, etc., then yeah, it's a little bit worrying. Why would all the OGs and the long-term believers of Bitcoin be selling at global adoption with an ETF? Something to think about, guys, right? I always like to have a strategy for either outcome. Everyone thinks that we're going to bottom at 70k, 65. Who has a plan for 30k? Who has a plan for 40k? If we do see a black swan event, if we do see a hard fork for Bitcoin, then there's going to be a race to buy the new Bitcoin. There's going to be a race to buy the new Bitcoin. Then you're going to have all of the old wallets getting hacked. So it's going to be so volatile. I don't even think you could trade it if it happened, right? Because you might wake up one day and then someone else has had, $5 billion stolen and it's sold off straight away, and you try and long that dip and then there's another 5 billion sold instantly. It would be insane. It would be amazing for DCAing. It would be absolutely amazing for dollar cost averaging. If they're able to hard fork it fast, right? They would need to hard fork it fast. They would need to audit that as well. It would be an absolute nightmare, but it would be a great time for the banks to buy, institutions to buy. All these guys would love they would love for Bitcoin to get hacked, because that would mean that they'd have to hard fork and upgrade to quantum resistant. An interesting thing to be prepared of. I've talked about it a bit, and I'm going to keep talking about it, guys, just because it's nice to be prepared for those things. So when it happens, you're not like, oh, what do I do? What's going to happen? You already know, right? If it happens to us next week, we already know, right? They're going to have to hard fork it. Where are they with the hard fork? Have old wallets started to get hacked, right? We already have a strategy. Instead of like thinking, oh, we're going to sell everything, we're actually getting ready to buy, right? So it's about being prepared for that situation. Good to see Alex Becker finally admitted, obviously dumping everything at last year's tops was the best thing to do. After years of saying, buy the dip, you're an idiot, the bull run's not even started yet, Q4's coming. I'm glad to see that they are finally starting to come around. And this is another sign that we might be getting close to the end of this bear market. Because obviously it's been in March, guys, that's like literally 2 months we started selling, right? It's going to be 2 years since we started selling. And, so many accounts on X have been saying, buy the dip, and everything's just come down 90%. So, it's been 2 years. It's roughly 2.5 years where I'd start to buy again. So, if they keep going on, they're going to be right soon, because we're going to be literally at the bottom of the bear market, right? And where things are probably going to be down 95%, 99%. And Bitcoin hopefully will come down to some sort of a floor in the next few months. And that's where I'm going to be looking to start shopping. So I do think we are getting closer, and it lines up with our yellow here, right? The next phase after yellow is this big aggressive wick down, big aggressive wicks down. Big aggressive wick down, and then orange is almost like the warning sign to say get ready to buy. We haven't quite hit orange yet, But that's when stuff gets really dark. When you go into orange, that's when the market can really come down quite fast. You see here where we had 1, 2, 3 straight monthly candles of red, red, red. I do think we are going to get to that stage very, very soon. And it's just going to be 3 months of red. And that's when the depression kicks in. That's when the misery kicks in. I should have taken profits. I thought we were going higher. And that's when I start to get ready to buy, right? And then you have the sideways period here, which I talked about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months here. It could be shorter, this period here, right? That's something I'm open to. This could be very short. I don't think we're going to V-shape, but I think this could be a lot shorter here. But yeah, this is what I'm excited about, right? It's been boring for us because we took profits. We started to take profits quite a while ago, and we've been trading, we've been swing trading, buying bits at support. Like when Bitcoin came down here, this is where we bought Sui come down to like 0.85, but then up here Sui was like only $4 or $5, right? I think we sold it about 480. It was really boring. Little 4x's, 5x's. It's so boring. Last cycle, things were going to like 100x, 50x, 200x. Look at this. So yeah, it was boring, but hey, it could have been worse. We could have bought the dip and just been down 90% on our entire portfolio. So, it could have been worse. And I think we are pretty locked in for this next rally, right? We're being patient. We know that we have to be patient here. Otherwise, we're going to end up buying the dip and we're going to end up being down 50, 60, 70, 80%. And, I think Solana's going to do well. So, of course, it's not hard for me. It's not easy for me to watch it at 121, but we bought it at $23, right? We bought it at $23. Our final sale, I think, was one of our sales was $250. I'm happy with that. I think our first sale was around $200, $250. And then I think we sold before we lost this, like 200 and something. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Is it the 20x, 30x? No, but I only was going for a 10x on Solana, and it done over 10x by hitting $300. So yeah, it is hard, but again, I'm sticking with the data. Everything seems to be playing out as it did last cycle. Even this, green, yellow, red. Patience is key. And I tell you what, a lot of the people who sold, guys, when we come down into this red, they're not going to have any cash to buy. And that is the worst feeling in the world. When you come into a bear market, like imagine buying the dip on Solana at $200 or $190. And then in the bear market, it's $8. Like, do you know how sick you feel? Because your 100K bag here is now worth like 2K or 3K, right? You watched your 100K bag go down to 2 or 3K. You lost all of the gains you made in the bull run by buying in the bear market. You lost all of the gains because you got greedy, didn't take any profits. And then the price is $8. And you're like, I know this is at least going to 100, right? I know this is at least going to do a 10x. And my 100K could have been $1 million, right? It's the worst feeling in the world having no cash in the bear market. And everyone told you to hodl, diamond hand, this time's different, business cycle, when really you were just exit liquidity, right? You were just exit liquidity. So yeah, the bear market gets brutal. I keep saying this. I haven't heard many people say this. I think we're going to have one of the worst bear markets in history. Why? Because we have 1 million devs, we have 10 million, maybe 100 million tokens. We have VCs that are even at a loss this cycle, just rugged everything. VCs were just selling on launch, promoting anything, could just dump in on everyone. We have completely detached from the stock market. Altcoins detached even from Bitcoin. I could go on and on about so many different factors. We've hit every catalyst this cycle. Like even the president launched a coin on Solana. You can't make some of the stuff up. Like if you told me last cycle the president of the United States will launch a meme coin on the blockchain that you think is going to do well, I would have thought I'm gonna make hundreds of millions. Right? You can't make it up. It became the biggest seller news you could ask for. And we're starting to see that play out now, right? We're starting to see that play out. So I think we're going to have one of the worst bear markets in history. Does that mean that every altcoin is going to come down 99%? Absolutely not. It's going to be a real case of analyzing the data as much as possible, the RSIs, the bottom indicators, the SMC bot, Glassnode, Nansen, the smart money. We've got all of the hyperliquid data now. It's going to be a case of analyzing all of the data, just as we did with the sells, right? I think we sold at some really good frothy points. We sold here, and then I think we sold here. We were using the data to analyze this, right? And you can do the same thing for the bottom. The cool thing about the bottom is you normally just go sideways. Selling the top is a lot harder than buying the bottom, because of the bottom you just tend to go in this sideways period, and it makes it quite easy to buy, right? You just see you're not breaking through the floor. Week after week after week after week and month after month. And then Bitcoin starts to break out, and it just makes it quite easy. Selling the tops is a whole different game. And I am quite proud of where we sold, because I haven't seen anyone that was taking profits on render at anywhere near these levels, right? I actually saw people just dollar cost average and buying more render on each dip, and it just come down like 80-90%. So I am very happy with where we sold. Very happy with these predictions as well, because we've been trading pretty well as well, right? We took shorts here, longs here, shorts here. So we've been trading pretty well. We took a massive short here. This is where I made my 250k on that Trump win. And I said TP 100k, and I made 250 there. I made a few 200s here. It's been insane, really. I've definitely lost trades. Like, it wasn't win. I've definitely lost trades, but I've made a lot of money leverage trading this cycle, which I did not expect to do. I think I've talked about this before, but that what I do with my money each cycle is, let's say I buy the bear market, as we did down here, right? And I start to take profits. What I do with those profits, so let's say I made 100k, just for an example, I then take 20% to leverage trade with, right? Because my spot, when I start to sell my spot, I'm kind of looking just to trade after this, and leverage trading can be a way to make a lot of money, but it's also highly risky. So I take 20k from that 100k, and then that's it. If I lose that 20k, I don't trade anymore. I know that the odds are stacked against me. I know that 9 out of 10 traders lose. I shouldn't say 9 out of 10. I think it's around 95% to 90% of leverage traders lose. I don't like those odds. I know that people who know what they're doing in the market, 100%, nearly 100%, well, actually 100% of everyone who bought in the market, in the bear market, won, right? 100% of everyone who bought in the bear market on render made life-changing money, right? You don't see that with leverage trading. There could have been leverage traders here who took massive longs here on this green candle and then got liquidated the next day on the red, and then it went on to do a 25x, which would have returned life-changing money for them, but they got liquidated, right? That's why I don't like those odds. Why am I going to go and put most of my money into a system where I have a 5% chance of winning when I can take this option where everybody won, right? Doesn't make sense to me. So I put in 20k or 20%, and if I lose that 20%, I'm out, right? I don't put any more in. That's my own fault. That's the risk I was prepared to take. And we've done very well this cycle, because when I started to take profits, some of those trades went absolutely crazy. And like I said, when I won on that Trump trade, I ended up having 250k, and then that enabled me to take bigger trades, and my trades went up to 10k trades and then 20k trades. So yeah, it worked out really well. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen next cycle. Hey, maybe I start to take profits next cycle after I build my next portfolio in the bear market. Maybe I take 20% of, I don't know, let's say I hit 10 million, right? And let's say I take 20% out. So I trade with 2 million. It's a lot hard. The more money you make, the harder it is to get wrecked. Because even if I'm trading with 2 million, I'm probably going to only be taking, like, I say only, it's getting crazy, but 20k trades, 10k trades, right? So I don't really see myself taking 50k trades, 100k trades, right? So I'll probably take less risk and just copy the strategy I had this cycle with 2 million. That would be great, right? That would be great. And then if I lost that 2 million, I've only lost 20%. I've still got 8 million to build my next portfolio for the next bear market. That's how I do it. And the reason I do that is because I know people have got completely liquidated, have completely wiped their accounts leverage trading. It's highly addictive. You lose and you want to win it back, and you go chasing until you're completely empty. That's why I set the 20% rule. I want to learn from other people's mistakes, right? I want to manage my own greed. I want to manage my own discipline. And it would suck to lose 20%, but at least I would be able to turn off the tap and say, boys, that's it. I lost 8 trades, 10 trades in a row. Or it would have to be a lot more than that, right, to completely lose that portfolio of trade imbalance. Let's say I lost 50, 40 in a row, which is like, I don't know, it's not impossible, but it's never happened to me before. Let's say I lost all of those trades and I lost that 20%. Hey, that's my fault, and I'm not prepared. If I lost that 20%, that means I could lose my 80%. Right, if I put more and more money in, that means I could lose my 80%, and 20% is more than enough to set up a trading strategy. Maybe I'll do more videos about that. I'll do more videos about that. Let's say I made 10k and I wanted to take 2k out. I'll break it down into how I would trade, what amounts I would trade with, and using stop losses and trailing stop losses. I do have a course, by the way. I haven't really marketed it much. I just kind of created it for my group. But I probably should start marketing it. I have a course on my Twitter. If you click this link here, there's a beginner to pro course. So if you are interested in getting stuck in this bear market and you're looking for altcoins to buy and you're waiting for the bear market and you want to try and repeat what we've done this cycle and the previous cycle, I do have a course on Twitter, on my Twitter. Click this link here. So search this one. Not the top one, the bottom one. Click this link, and then on there's a beginner to pro course. So if you're experienced, I wouldn't say mega experienced, like if you've been trading 10, 15 years, it's probably not going to be of much use to you unless you've been trading stocks and you want to understand how the crypto world works. But if you're a beginner or if you've been trading 1-2 years or something, I think you're going to get loads of valuable information from that course. If you want to join that, click there. Also, if you want to join our Discord, right? If you want to jump in with us in the Discord and jump in with the guys who have been making a lot of money on these trades recently, we've got a huge community here. I think we've got around 1,000 members now, all looking for the next best cryptos, looking for the next best stocks. If you want to join us, head over to the X on Twitter and then click that link and you'll see in there. I also do these market updates. I won't waffle on about this whole thing, guys, but I do these market updates in my Discord, just letting everyone know what's going on with the market. Obviously, we had the Greenland stuff, Supreme Court reviewing the tariffs, but I wanted to talk about this as well, which makes it even easier for me right now. I said valuations are stretched, historic expensive conditions. That doesn't mean that there might be a crash tomorrow or a bubble. Even though the market looks like we're getting very, very toppy, it doesn't mean that there has to be a crash or a bubble. This is managing your own expectations, right? If the market keeps rallying, you don't go and get sucked in and then go and buy things at all-time highs or buying silver once it's rallied 300%, 400%, 500%, right? But it means earning seasons matter more than usual, right? So we're going to have to pay attention to earning seasons. Earnings have been relatively good. The jobs data hasn't been crazily bad. I think assets are so high at the moment that this data is going to be even more sensitive, right? It's going to be very, very sensitive data as people are on the sell button, right? A lot of people are on trailing profits, which means that they're like, hey, gold and silver are just going up vertically. I don't need to sell right now. I'll just sell when it starts to come down, right? And they have these trailing stop losses, and that's why these things can come down very, very fast. Because if the bad data comes out, bang, people's trailings start to get hit, and they sell their entire silver collection. They sell their entire gold. They sell all of their Bitcoin, whatever. But some things to take into consideration here. US margin debt surged 11.3 billion in December to a record 1.23 trillion. Meanwhile, margin debt growth is now outpacing the S&P 500 gains by 20 percentage points year over year, the widest gap since the 2021 meme stock frenzy. US investors are using more leverage than ever. Likewise, margin financing in China is up to a record 390 billion. This has officially surpassed the 2015 stock market bubble peak of around 380 billions, right? So the last time we had this kind of froth and borrowing to invest in stocks, it was not far off the last market bubble, right? Margin debt has nearly doubled since the end of 2024, driven by risk appetite from retail investors. Chinese investors are borrowing to buy stocks at record levels, right? Metal silver is up 40% in this year alone. In 2026, it's up 40%. That's crazy. Retail investors posted a 95 million net inflow in the largest gold ETF on Tuesday. Retail investors have net bought gold almost every single day in 2026. Meanwhile, silver-linked ETFs saw a record 922 million of retail inflows over the last 30 days. The retail rush into precious metals is accelerating. This is the most important, right? This is what we see from the smart money in crypto as well. I wouldn't say smart money, but this is what we see from, it is smart money, but it's a mixture of institutions, smart money, highly profitable investors. But global institutional investors have never held so little cash. Cash allocation by fund managers is down to just 3.2%, the lowest data since the 1990s. It's the lowest it's ever been since the data began, okay? I love to see this, especially when we've got out of the market, right? I love to see this because we're seeing what we want to be seeing here, right? Just before what happens in yellow, orange, red, we see that crazy 3-month crash, and we're seeing the fundamentals in the macro. I love it. It's literally what you want to be seeing. You don't want to see the opposite. You don't want to see this on the charts. Oh, we should go into a bear here, but then on the data, you don't want to see, the stacks of cash, people aren't borrowing money to buy stocks. We don't have all this retail FOMO. We're seeing everything we want to see for a bad 3 to 5 months. I think we're going to have a really bad period. My take, and then, look, guys, very, very powerful day. If you want to join the Discord, I do these updates. You can see my stock portfolio, the stocks I'm planning to buy. A lot of my money this cycle is going to go into stocks. I haven't heard many people talking about this either, but a lot of people in crypto are saying, going to buy the bear and going to buy this and this is going to do well. Personally, I'm taking a lot of my money out of crypto. I'm still going to be in crypto. I still think there's going to be opportunities there, and I still think it's going to be explosive in terms of volatility, just as we did this cycle, right? But I am putting a lot of money into stocks, and I think there is 3 categories in the stock market that are extremely disruptive. They're brand new, and I think they're going to revolutionize the IT infrastructure. And we're talking about a global change, not just in America. We're talking about a complete change to our IT infrastructure, our compute power, and you don't get those opportunities very often. You might even argue we haven't seen one of those in decades, right? I mean, look, what were some of the greatest opportunities? Electric cars, digital music, Netflix, digital streaming, digital cinema. But what about changing every single computer in the world? We haven't seen anything like that since computers were created, and I think that there is going to be 10, 50, 100x plays in the stock market over the next 5, 6, 7 years, and especially as we go on chain and markets become 24/7. The stock market is going to be digital. It's tokenized. Real world assets are going to be on chain. There's going to be trillions and trillions of dollars that's now able to come into the market from countries and areas, even like decentralized platforms like Asta are probably going to list stocks next cycle. And there's going to be a lot of dark pool money coming in. People are going to be buying stocks when they don't want a KYC, right? I think there's going to be huge money coming in via that, and I don't think they care, right? If they've got all of this illegal money that's coming in, pumping on decentralized blockchains, they're not going to care if their bags are going up 10, 20, 30x, right? So I think there's going to be a big push for capital coming into the markets over the next 5, 10 years. And these sectors that I'm really interested in, I'm so excited. I would be very surprised if I'm over the next 4 or 5 years if I make less money in stocks than I do in crypto. So that's going to be a good challenge. I'm going to build a crypto portfolio and I'm going to build a stocks portfolio. We've already started buying. You probably saw that we bought quantum computing back in January. When we done one of our second dollar cost average out of crypto, we moved some money into quantum computing. And that really rallied. I think it went up 300-400%. So we made some money on that. Still got a massive quantum portfolio. I think I've got like 80 grand in quantum at the moment. It's all free money. I've already taken out my initials. So, it's all profits. I can't lose on any of those plays. But yeah, I would be surprised. I think I'm going to make more money on stocks than I will on crypto next cycle. We'll have to see. Obviously, this is investing. Anything can happen. I can lose it all. You can lose all of your money at any time whatsoever. But I'm really confident. I'm really confident about these sectors, and I'm constantly staying updated with all of the latest developments. And I'm excited to build these portfolios, man. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. I think we've pretty much covered it. Drop your comments below. I know there's some people in my Discord who think we're actually going to go on to do new highs. Are you in that category, guys? Do you think we're going to continue to make new highs here? Do you think this is just a dip? Why do you think we've detached from the stock market, from gold? Drop your comments below. Anything you want me to talk about? Any videos you want me to do? Let me know. Is there anything you want me to cover, especially as we go into a bear market? I want to help you guys learn. I want to help you guys level up. A lot of people ask me, where did you learn everything you talk about? You sound like you've read some books or done some. It's just, most of it's from YouTube, guys. It's finding really good traders and investors on YouTube, and I kind of understood it very fast, and I understood when I was listening to someone who was talking bullshit, and then I really understood when I was talking to someone who knew what they were doing. And you see how I do these little, this is where we bought, this is where we sold. Those are the kind of people that I was paying attention to, because this is very hard to do, especially almost selling the exact top and buying the exact bottom, right? It's almost impossible to do. So those kind of people who were showing me what they did, those are the ones who I was listening to. And because a lot of people talk on the internet, but they're not actually doing on the internet, right? So those are the kind of people that I was listening to, and I was listening to all of their skills, their techniques, all of their little tricks that they do, things that happen in the market quite often, and euphoria, fear, risk management. And I just kept studying. I still do watch videos today. Every day I watch videos. I watch digital asset news, like nearly every video. Ivan on tech, and sometimes I might watch one of the episodes and I know most of the things they're talking about, right? But then Rob will go and say something and I'm like, I never knew that, and now that's buried in my hard drive of too much information, and I remember it somehow, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember Rob mentioned this happens when this happens. Just like meme coins started to pump recently and Bitcoin's dumping, right? I posted in my Discord because someone said they were interested in taking a long position. And I said, meme coins are rallying at the moment. I'm a bit scared because sometimes you get these meme coin rallies just before Bitcoin dumps. It's kind of a common, it's a bit of a red flag, especially when Bitcoin's just chilling and meme coins start pumping out of nowhere. It's like the bat signal for a dump in Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin started to dump. So you'll pick these things up over time. You're not going to learn everything at once. But yeah, I probably will do some more educational content. Of course, you can go and follow my beginner to pro course if you want to get stuck in for the next cycle anyway. Guys, none of the information in this video is financial advice. Do your own research. Investing in crypto is highly risky. Investing in anything is highly risky. You can lose all of your money investing in anything. So do your own research. I am not a financial advisor. Don't forget to follow the Twitter. And if you want to jump in our Discord and you want to join us, head over to my Twitter and click the link here. And you can get involved with us. It's a monthly fee, guys. So, you can leave after your first month. If it's not for you, you can just cancel and leave. It's not a yearly or lifetime thing. That's it for now. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one.